Guys, I've thought about this movie a lot since we saw it, and I'm still finding it difficult to put into words what I think about it. It was, and now I'm probably going to put it into words just because I'm on the spot, right?
Well, you have to.
Yeah, pretty much we demand
Words
it.
are required.
We're not going to just sit in silence and stare.
No.
Oh, okay. We're not that type of podcast.
Welcome to the Untitled Film Project Podcast. Today we're talking Love, Lies, Bleeding, the hard-to-define drama thriller starring Katie O'Brien and Kristen Stewart. An ambitious bodybuilder drifts into town and into a relationship with the gym manager, but things go south when they run afoul of the local crime family.
What is this place? You're looking pretty good in there. There's some pretty serious lines going. Yeah? Why don't you want me working for your dad? Well, he's a psycho.
Plus, we have our big question. We want to know, what is the most quotable movie of all time? And there's going to be some good arguments for at pretty much anything that's brought up here. So I can't wait to hear yours and what our listeners/viewers are going to say. Let's get into Love, Lies, Bleeding.
This was trippy at times, psychedelic, dark, really funny.
Gritty?
It was very gritty, and the more I think about it, the more I enjoyed the experience, and the more I'm intrigued by it. Immediately upon it ending, which was choppy because the projector kept stalling at the very last minute.
You're not going to experience that.
Everybody
That
else,
was really
yeah.
fun for us.
It was, anyways.
It was weird.
It was weird, but I was intrigued by this movie. I thought Kristen Stewart did a phenomenal job. I thought there was good chemistry with her and Katie O'Brien. There were some weird elements to this where I thought, wow, I should have had a gummy before watching this movie.
For sure.
But again, in terms of revenge story, in terms of looking for it as this is a lesbian love revenge story. There's no other way really to describe it, because that's what it truly is. And this is one of those movies that I think has the elements made for it to be a cult classic, especially amongst a certain demographic.
Sure.
It has all the makings of it because it's dark, it's gritty, it has violence, it has sex, it has weirdness to it. I mean, you can't say it's not weird. There's some weird elements in this A24.
Right. You can give it some grace, but there's one point in the end where you there's nobody out there that can't say that's not weird.
But they pull it off, and they also tell you don't do drugs at the same time. Like, all these things, it was very intriguing and interesting. And is this movie going to be for everyone? No. It is not going to be for everyone. But I think if you appreciate cinema, you appreciate revenge stories, you appreciate those types of things that are a little trippy at times, that make you have to digest it. Like, if you enjoy digesting movies for hours or days following it, and you just can't stop thinking about it, you want to look up a little bit more, you're thinking more and more about it, this is the kind of movie I think that they're going to enjoy.
Oh, yeah. If you're the kind of person that just wants a movie to just flow right over you and you're like, I don't want to think too much, don't go to this movie.
No.
Because it will haunt you, whether you like it or hate it. You know, this movie is going to stay with you because it's that weird.
And I think that's a great point, Jim. I think people are either going to love this movie or hate it. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of in between. We actually had some people in our screener. Remember, it's before the movie was released. So it's a screener. There's public people in that won tickets or whatever it may be that are in the screener, and they left.
Walked out on the movie.
Walked out about 30 minutes in. Not because it was bad. We've seen enough bad movies to know when people are leaving because it's bad. It's because the violence wasn't expected, or the amount of sex wasn't expected.
It was graphic.
Or the graphicness of it, they did not expect that, and they literally got up and left.
So apparently everyone was sweaty in the 80s too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, dude, always.
We didn't use deodorant.
Like, that was part of the element of this, is that everyone's sweaty and glistens.
Right.
Everyone.
Everybody.
Even dead people.
Right. So I went into this movie. There's not too many people, I'll say that. I am, I try to be generous. Even if there's an actor, I don't like what they do. I think that they're pretty good at it. I've consistently said Kristen Stewart's a bad actress. Mm-hmm. She did a little better. She didn't use all of her 3 tricks, this pony that named Kristen Stewart, which was bite your lip, flip your hair, and act kind of too cool for the room and don't get too emotional. And you're just like above it all, nonplussed, which is all of her movies. But this movie, all right, she started, I saw the lip bite in the first 5 seconds. I'm like, oh no. Oh no.
That's one?
There's one. The rest are
I did see you take out your notepad and pen.
I did. I'm like, there it is, 5 seconds.
I even heard the
Yep. I'm like, yep. Yes, yeah. But you know what? She got much better. This is, I think, one of her better performances. And I think that's a lot of that came from the interaction between her and Katie O'Brien, who plays her love interest. There was a good chemistry going. And I also think as the movie unfolded and you realize the past that Kristen Stewart's character has, she starts to show, a different kind of character that I don't think she's really played before, which is a vengeful, I've done bad things, like really terrible things.
I think, first of all, Gover's 100% going to clip the first 30 seconds of what you just said and make it clickbait for people to hate comment. We already know that because Jim is the person that people tend to hate.
Oh, yeah. I invite the lightning sometimes.
But I think Kristen Stewart is becoming more of herself now. She's accepting more of who she is. I think she's feeling more comfortable.
Okay.
She's feeling more comfortable in her own skin. You can see it just with the way that she dresses, the way that she presents herself. She is herself now. And I don't think she was before. I think she was masking a good bit years ago, especially Twilight, right? Because all the people that are in Twilight hate Twilight. But
right.
But I think now
some people that are not in Twilight also hate Twilight.
Well, but you're seeing maturity.
Yeah,
I think you see maturity for her becoming an actress, because I get what you're saying, and they were made fun of all the time. There were memes, right? So many memes about Kristen Stewart. You don't see those near as much because I think in the choices that she's putting out there, she feels more comfortable, and she's choosing projects like this where she's more comfortable in what she's doing and feels more passion behind it.
Absolutely.
I'm not trying to put any words into there, but I see that.
It seems more rightly aligned with her as a person, right? In her life, right? Whereas that other stuff, granted, they were very young. Nobody knows who they are.
Like she would not look comfortable playing in a cis couple.
Right.
Like there's no comfort there even on screen.
Okay.
As much.
Here's where I have a problem with this.
Okay.
We're talking about actors.
Yeah, that's true.
They're supposed to be acting.
Yes.
If I'm going to be cast in a role that kisses a guy, I'm not homosexual, but I'm going after it. But you know why? Because I'm paid to be here to act.
But there's also differences in chemistry and you fit for the part. If you fit that role, fine. No, there may be comfort levels too in certain things as well.
For sure. I'm not taking everything away from what you're saying. I'm just simply saying that
you said you had a problem with it.
Because I do to a degree, right? It's like, okay, it's acting. Am I supposed to believe that Cillian Murphy is, he was so effortless as Oppenheimer that he believes that we should have bombed Japan? Okay, no!
That's way different apples.
It's acting.
To oranges.
It's acting.
It is acting, but actors take roles.
It was a little graphic for me. Sexually, it was just I haven't seen a lot of that in a movie. That seems like it felt like an 80s,
that's a good comparison.
Like where things were just a little more graphic. They showed you a little more. So it kind of harkened back to that. And it's also kind of a period piece, right?
Right.
It fit, but
it fit in that gritty and raw.
It did
feel of
it
the
did.
film.
It's just where it was maybe a bit much for me. Maybe just I would have a little less would have worked for me.
Understand with that going in that's going to be on screen.
Yeah, that's what you're in for. I think I kind of dug the interplay between those two characters, and then when it became almost a Coen Brothers movie, when the murders start happening. It became another kind of movie for me, which was kind of cool because I think at that point, like, okay, you've established that, they've got this relationship, and this, new girl in town, the bodybuilder, she's also kind of nuts. She's got roid rage, and it had to go somewhere, and it went to murder. And then
they took a leap. It wasn't just like a hop, a skip, or a jump. It leapt.
There's no easing into the murders.
And it was a whoa moment too. Like the raw audience was whoa.
I would say several whoa moments for the murderers. And then it just, the end was so trippy and so weird. Such an odd artistic choice to just go crazy CGI hallucinogen. To me,
full roid.
Full roid. Like up till that point, you had me. But maybe I'm warming up to it. Like, this is one of those movies.
The more you digest it, right?
Yes. And there's movies that I absolutely hated. And then, like, I'm still mad because, like, years later, I'm still thinking about scenes from those movies. So, did they have some value? Yeah, I think they did. You know, they made an impression on me that I can't let go of. Gopher.
My only take before we get to scores, I assume, is that the moral of the story is don't do drugs, kids.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really boil this movie down to its essence, where does everything go wrong? When she starts doing steroids.
Yeah.
That's where the whole movie start. The plot.
That's
right?
the linchpin.
Starts.
Yep.
Yes. So, and then you see all the ramifications of that. She loses out on her dreams. She embarrasses herself doing that.
She gets arrested.
She's arrested. She kills somebody, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All that happens because she starts doing drugs. So the moral of the story of Love Lies Bleeding is don't do drugs, kids.
And don't mix love and drugs.
I still think
because when you do Love Lies Bleeding.
Look, we've all been in love before, okay? Prior to our wives, I would imagine.
Yep.
We do some stupid crap.
Yeah, we do.
We don't need drugs on top of that to
Right.
compound the problem.
Right. Because then you might get murdery.
I'm gonna say I thought I needed a pill to stomach looking at Ed Harris in this movie. He looked like Ben Franklin, half troll, who's not going to let you cross the bridge.
They want to make it clear that he's a bad guy. Right? In the 80s.
An 80s bad guy, gun range owner.
Unless you're like talking about the mob or the cartel in the 80s, you have to make them look fugly.
Yeah, the skullet was just unbelievably uncomfortable to look at. All right, let's score. Love Lies Bleeding.
It's a compelling story. I was engaged from the Coen brothers' turn. From about that point,
Yeah.
I was listless early on. I was kind of like, okay, there's nothing that's really exciting about
There's
this.
a slow burn going.
I'm distracted by Kristen Stewart. I don't really care. Okay, she's in a bond. That's she doesn't
look like she cares either, because
Right.
that's kind of like
That's right.
her thing.
Yeah. Look at the 80s-ness of all the scenes in the gym, and then, okay, that's kind of what I was just kind of like, I'm here watching this movie. And then that Coen brothers turn happened, and it was like someone snapped their fingers, and I was like, I'm into it. From that point on, I was engaged. I was craving how this is going to end, how it's going to all wind up. It was surprisingly, guys, I'm giving it a 7.5.
Wow.
If you had asked me to predict my score walking in, it would have been around 5, 5.5, maybe with some good performances, 6. But the fact that the bottom line is I was riveted.
Okay.
Around the halfway mark.
Right.
So if you walk out, it's on you.
All right.
It's intriguing, y'all.
So if you can get past the scenes that you had a problem with, you got a good movie. Is that what you're saying?
Did I have a problem, though?
I mean, did you? Not saying you had a problem with it. That it just wasn't. It didn't engage you.
No.
Until the murders came.
Yeah.
And then the murders began.
And then, like I said, what do I always say, Bradford?
Got to see it through, my boy.
Well, also that. But I also say...
I'm not meaning to nitpick here.
No. Also say... show me new and interesting ways to kill people.
Yes.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was going to get there eventually.
Eventually you would have got there.
Yeah.
And Love Lies Bleeding did that.
Well, and case in point, Gover leans over to me. Well, that's a new one. when it happened.
Yeah, I believe I leaned over to Bradford and I was like, that's a new one.
Yeah.
And then I go, that's cool.
He'd like
And
to
that's
see
all I'm asking everybody.
innovative
so
murder.
Many new stuff.
Yeah, I love it. There's actually a fun game you can play where you can take the opening line of like any movie or book, and then you say, and then the murders began. I mean, try it with a Winnie the Pooh book. It's hilarious.
My favorite game is go back and listen to our Violent Night episode. That's That's our favorite game.
Yes. We murdered that movie.
No,
I did it. Yeah.
He didn't.
Yeah, it's true. I really thought this movie was memorable, and like I have to give it credit where I don't want it to, because some of this stuff is outrageous. I did love, when this movie just, hit the afterburners, and it's like, oh my God, who's going to die next? How are they going to get out of this? It's a really compelling movie. I probably would have spent a little less time building the relationship. I got it. There was just a little shorter there.
Yeah.
And because you have to, obviously they have to care about each other enough to do outrageous things. But all the way up until she became She-Hulk, and she was like the size of a castle. It was, to me, again, I don't know whether I admire them for that absolutely ridiculous, stupid turn in the movie, or I think it is, I have no idea what to think about it. So I'm confused, but the fact that this movie has stuck with me for a while, I'm going to give it a 6. It is not for the faint of heart. Don't go with your parents.
Oh God, no! Don't do that.
Don't rent it with your parents. Just like you just don't. It's like certain commercials for like really uncomfortable subjects and stuff. You just don't want to be in the same room with them.
It's R for a reason. It's not just language.
Exactly.
Bradford,
what are you going to score this thing?
This has stuck with me. And when I first got to the theater, I probably would have given it like a 6.5 when I first got to the theater. And then it stuck with me. And then I kept thinking about it. And then I'm going, that was really trippy. That was intriguing artistic choice. They really turned into She-Hulk. Drugs are bad. That's a lot of sex. Did his jaw really just do that? All these things have stuck with me through this.
that was the cool part.
Yeah. Sorry. Spoiler. All these things have really stuck with me.
We didn't say
where
what
they can figure it out.
They know.
I keep thinking about the movie and I'm not trying to analyze it. There's no much more, there's not more analyzation that it needs from me. And just that I'm intrigued by the story. And enjoy is a difficult word to put with this because it's like murder, revenge, drugs, and everything. But I'm just very intrigued. It was like riveting. It was very riveting in that I liked what the performances on screen. And I thought that overall, even with the interesting artistic choices, that they made a movie that they can be proud of. That was a project that they knew was going to be a little kooky at times, was going to be weird. But overall, you can see just chemistry on screen, especially with Kristen Stewart and Katie O'Brien, that there was a love story there. There was a revenge story in there. They covered so many different elements of what you want out of a good film. So the more I thought about it, the higher the score continued to get, to the point that I didn't record my personal review until a week after, because I had to let it sit, because it would definitely have been different if I recorded it that night after we watched it. So all that being the case, the more that I've just digested this movie, the more I end up liking what I saw on screen as a film. I give it an 8.
Wow. That's a very high score. But then again, you like a lot of garbage. But this one wasn't garbage. All right, it's time for the big question, and I think the answers we're going to get from you are going to be just as good as anything we say here, because this is one of those things. This could start some debates, some arguments, and some fights, because people love the movie that they can quote all the time. So what is the most quotable movie of all time? Give us your choices and some selections, that maybe a lot of people quote, maybe just you, but you just think it's the most quotable. Let's go to Gover. What do you think?
Spaceballs.
God dang it.
Oh, we had another one where somebody took somebody's choice.
Spaceballs.
Give us some of the quotes that you use more often than others.
Keep firing holes is a good one.
Find anything yet?
We ain't found There's that one. But I think that, yeah, it's just, there's so, my Schwartz is bigger than you. It's just Spaceballs. I'd say once every 5 minutes,
there's a quote.
There's a line that you can apply to your daily life.
I'm going to say most of the good Mel Brooks films are all extremely quotable.
And some you shouldn't quote.
Yes. What an enormous Schwanzstucker. Young Frankenstein.
Dang it. No, I'm thinking about
Okay,
I gotta
do you
go
need some
last now.
time?
I gotta go
All
last.
right.
Do you want me to pivot?
No.
Okay.
No, you chose it.
I had a backup.
Okay, no,
You don't need, that's on me. I had a feeling it was going to go because it is one of the most quotable movies of all
So
time.
good.
All right. My absolute most quotable movie of all time has got to be The Princess Bride. There is no way you have lived a life that hasn't been in a cave somewhere where you haven't heard the line, "My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die." Or inconceivable. That movie. There's just so many. Have fun storming the castle. It's just one after another, and it's one of those movies that I've watched it probably 50 times, and I'll probably watch it another 50 because it's just that enjoyable. And there's so many. I can't even count them. Almost every line of dialogue.
So mine is going to be one that Disney people will definitely appreciate. The Emperor's New Groove.
No touchy.
I use quotes from this all the time. Why do we even have that lever? Is one of them. Oh, right. The poison for Cusco. The poison chosen especially to kill Cusco. Cusco's poison. Love that movie. Very quotable. Now, maybe there's not nowhere near as many quotes, but there are plenty of quotes from it that I use in just everyday life.
The quality of quotes.
Squeak, 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 and squeak, squeaker, squeak, squeak. Most of them do come from Kronk. I mean, because why not? I mean, that's who it's going to come from is going to be Kronk, and that's why I love Emperor's Groove so much, and I think Patrick Warburton is just one of the best voices out there just in Hollywood. He's just a classic voiceover artist and actor as well. And if you haven't seen, he's the person that comes on before Soarin' at Soarin' in Disneyland, California Adventure, as well as Epcot at Walt Disney World Resort. He actually made an appearance as the flight attendant trainer at Disneyland Resort as well and surprised people there at Soarin', and he did his whole bit.
That's great.
Love Patrick Warburton. He's so awesome. The Devils! The Devils!
What is the most quotable movie of all time? Let us know your choices. What did we leave out? What was the obvious one? Please tell us. Well, anytime we bring up these kinds of questions, somebody's got a passionate view. We want yours. Hit us up on all the socials. UntitledFilmProjectPod.com.
She's gone from suck to blow.
Especially if they're not comedies. Because I would love to hear some. We all pick comedies to a degree.
Sure. Yeah, you're right.
Bride, Spaceballs, and Emperor's New Groove, they're all comedies.
They're all comedies.
So is there anything else that kind of fits into that?
What's in the box?
Yeah. I mean, it's just a one line, though.
I'll be box.
A Few Good Men, obviously. But we're not talking necessarily iconic lines. We're talking about the script as a whole. There's multiple quotable lines. What are they? Is it a comedy? Is it not a comedy? Let us know on all socials.
Terminator. Just
Star Wars. Star Wars. Oh, Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Thank you for listening to the Untitled Film Project Podcast. To support the show, please rate, review, follow, and subscribe. Original music by Jeremy Schwartz. Special thanks to the Music City Film Critics Association. Editing and post-production by Jeremy K. Gover. Voiceover by Chad Bennett.